Hey guys, Blue here, back with another penny guide, and today we're looking at Tokyo 2099 Shin-Shibuya. We'll run through defense and then attack. This is going to be your default nest spot on this location. I use this for a good 90% of games. Get your web set up like this to get good coverage onto main. Load up on mines on the final web. This can and will take out a tank in one hit. Get this building destroyed as soon as possible. This creates a tighter choke for the enemy team to push through, and we can do more damage. They may try pushing this route. The nest is still safe unless they have AoE damage. As you can see from this angle, this is why I prefer the nest spot I showed you compared to the one that's usually placed here. You can place a nest here, but it is inferior to the default one that I showed you. You can still get coverage onto main with a nest set up like this though. This is the sort of area that we'll be holding for pretty much the entire defense of this spot. This is an alternative spot that you can use. This part of the roof cannot break, and it should go without saying, you can't use this spot unless there's a second tank holding main. Off tanks force the enemy team to split focus and give space for your team. You can get some great picks if you place mines on this back wall. The web is optional, you'll still get picks either way. You'll probably see that's where the supports like to stand. This is another alternative spot. Great for if your supports are getting dove hard. This is for if the enemy team have taken too much space and you have to fight on point. You shouldn't really be playing this spot unless you really have to. If you get the chance, break a hole in the wall. You can slip mines through or land a cheeky web snare. If you've seen my other guides, you know I like to get off a sneaky web snare on this strange that's portaling. This is the safest bet if you're going to try something like that. Snare strange while he portals and it'll cancel the portal. When I started this channel, I made two rules. 1, don't argue with people in the comments, and 2, don't promote anything I don't believe in. The first one didn't last long, but rule 2 is still holding strong. If you didn't know, I've partnered with Gamer Subs, and honestly, I've pretty much swapped out my daily coffee for it at this point. It's 0 sugar, 0 calories, and it genuinely tastes good. If you fancy trying it out and want to support the channel, use the code BLUEBOTBOP at checkout for 10% off. Let's look at stage 2, defense. This is a great room to hold with Penny. You've got a really good spot for the nest, and you get great coverage out onto where they're coming from spawn. A lot of the times DPS like to sit up here. This nest spot doesn't allow them to. When the building gets destroyed, we can also place a nest down here. I prefer the upstairs spot, but this one can work too if your team is holding close with you. The nest's web clips into the ceiling, so you can place a web here to get coverage over the door. If the enemy team start to take the space, we're going to need to move back. This spot gives great coverage and the nest is well protected. It's great for anti-dive. I'd recommend you hold on the left or right side. Don't stand behind the pillar as it's not tall enough to cover your head. Make sure you're getting the most of your cyber web bond. Take high ground, find off angles. This is another off-tank spot. Your whole team will be holding on the other side. If you can hold this angle, it gives the enemy team two different things to think about. And it denies divers from pushing around the back. And this is what I would call probably the default spot for this stage. It's nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. Set webs up something like this. Don't recommend this spot unless you really have to. It's so easy to get destroyed. You can maybe get away with placing your nest here once. After that, they're going to look for it here every single time. Similar to the other spot behind the pillar, really good coverage on the nest, and it's pretty well protected from the front. Get your web set up something like this. At this point we're at last ditch territory, we just want to stop them from capping the cart. Get your nest protected and then just ult or do whatever you can to prevent them from capping. This is a hard area to defend. Yes, it's a D tier ult, not quite F. Stage 3, defend. I've seen this spot work once or twice, but for the most part I never hold this close up, it's just too open. This is the first spot you want to take. Get webs put on either side. We want to hold this location for as long as possible. This is the best nest spot for this location. To destroy it, they have to push through the door. and into your team. Be careful of any DPS that try and destroy it in the window next to it. And then we're at last ditch territory again. Just get your nest down and ult. It's hard to destroy from there, so do whatever you can. Okay, now let's take a look at stage 1 attack. I always place my nest on the right side, just because that left building can be destroyed and I don't want to waste any time waiting for my nest to respawn. Get webs placed down to take space, and get mines placed in the back. If you manage to get a support kill, you can start pushing point. You can try and push early and take this spot. It's very well protected, just be aware you may break line of sight with your healers. Slowly get webs placed down onto the point to take space, and put pressure on the enemies. Once again, get mines placed in the back. In the corner and around the window is where supports tend to stand. Look at the amount of coverage we can get from the nest just from sitting in that corner. We have a lot of pressure on the point here. If the enemy team is smart, they'll break this wall and try to kill you, so just be aware of that. There's a few different ways you can get the webs placed down, so just be creative, use whatever works best for you and where the enemy team is holding. As soon as it's viable, you want to get a nest placed down here. It covers both entrances, the window and the door. For the door behind us, I also like to place mines and a web there too. And now this is an alternative push that I like to use instead of pushing main. Once we get to this roof, we've got a few different options. We can take the same spot we use for defense and put pressure from high ground onto the enemy team. Our objective is to cause chaos, get picks, and don't let the enemy team have an easy time in defending. If we get pushed here, we can quickly navigate to the other rooftop. It's so easy for the tanks and supports to just stare at main and heal. When we do this, they have to do other things, they can't just heal bot down main. And of course we can get sneaky nest in the back. This is going to prevent the supports from retreating, and we'll have direct access to them from this back room, as well as locking down the health pack for ourselves. Try these spots out guys, I'm sure you'll be capping more points than you don't. Stage 2 attack. The first thing I like to do is try and push into this room and hold up here. Our team, another tank, will be pushing main, so we can give the enemy team another thing to think about. This part of the roof can't break, so we can get mines placed into the back. This is pushing right side. The nest makes us almost impossible to get pushed. Try and get a pick on the support, and this is low side, again very hard for us to get pushed. If we go main with the team, these are where you want to place your nests. Not very creative, but there's not much to pick from. This can work well as it's quite hard to destroy from the front. This spot is much more viable on attack. And we can use the pillar again, but on the opposite side. Unfortunately, a nest in the tree goes all wonky, so you want to place a nest around that corner. It's very hard for them to destroy it without overcommitting. Stage 3 attack. We want to use the opposite side of the wall for this spot. Get webs placed to get coverage onto main. And this is one of the better nest spots on attack. It's very well protected and they have to really overcommit to destroy that nest. And then lastly, we want to get a nest placed here and get webs placed where we can, just to get even more range. This will be a fight to capture the cart, so coverage over that area is crucial. And that is the penny guide for Shin-Shibuya. I want to thank the guys in Discord for posting pictures and giving me some ideas. And I want to thank everyone that made it to this point. Make sure you check out my Discord and my Twitch, because I'll be streaming every Saturday and Sunday from here on.